I'm Carson Mullen with College Filmmakers, and today we have Michael Rowley, director of the feature-length documentary Hurdle. Hi Michael, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So Michael, how did Hurdle come about exactly?
Oh man, it's been a long process. I actually started pre-production about 3 years ago, so it's been a really long journey to get to this point. But I was working in the Middle East, in Israel and the Palestinian territories, telling stories of the conflict, people's experience with it, and their hope for peace in the future. And I first heard about these young people who were addressing obstacles and these young Palestinians responding to their lack of freedom of movement with creativity, and was just very inspired by them as people and also as their story as they lead the next generation to use creativity in order to address these obstacles. So ended up talking with them, establishing a friendship and a bond, and they allowed us into their lives to document a really great story.
That's so cool.
Thank you.
That is awesome. So what was it like shooting on the ground in such a unique place like Palestine?
Sure, it was definitely very interesting. Comes with its own challenges. Every environment is kind of different, but obviously traveling back and forth, we would do 2 months on and 2 months off in production over the course of a year.
Wow.
And so it was a lot of travel, but also just it's such a beautiful environment, visually very breathtaking, so it made framing shots and finding just like beautiful images very easy. But at the same time, there were challenges with like security and making sure that myself and whoever was working with us were staying safe, but also capturing their lives in a very real way. So it was an amazing experience. It's a great place to make a film about a really great and beautiful group of people. So
For sure. Did you guys ever run into any trouble down there? Or?
there were some moments whenever the danger was a little bit higher than we would have liked, but you know, we just really wanted to convey their story, their personal story. We wouldn't go seeking out danger, but whenever it would come to them, it was important for us to stick by their side and communicate that aspect of their lives. So there were moments whenever tensions were higher and clashes happened. Unfortunately, like, Palestinians live in a very unpredictable environment, and so the Israeli military can come in at a split second and you have no idea what's coming, and so it really creates a sense of whiplash for these young people and Palestinians in general. So there were just moments where we really had to be aware of our surroundings and make sure that we took extra precaution.
Definitely some bravery was needed for that type of filmmaking.
I mean, thank you for saying that. It's also just they're brave just going out every single day. Unfortunately, it's their daily life, so we wanted to make sure that we had the courage that they also had, just existing. So.
Existing as is,
Yeah.
So we kind of want to know a little bit about how did you start filmmaking? Like, when did that happen?
Yeah, starting from a young age, I was very interested in photography and started working in graphic design, just freelancing throughout high school and doing those types of things. Not very good at it, obviously, but it was kind of a natural transition into video and film, and I've just been working as a freelance filmmaker, video producer since probably the past 10 years. So I went to college, and then after that got a few jobs doing video work in different places, but decided to go out on my own about 10 years ago and have been freelance ever since. And so I think it really helped me create Hurdle, because you know, I would go in and do documentary storytelling for businesses or nonprofits and foundations and NGOs and all types of things. So it taught me how to, whenever I heard about a story or needed to convey a story, thinking about what are all the elements that need to go into it in order to make this cohesive for an audience, whether it's 3 minutes or an hour and a half. You just have to really, it allowed me to practice my skills and get to the point where we could make Hurdle. So.
Very cool. So what would you say your style as a director is, or do you recognize yourself as
I think so, in a way. Obviously it's always developing and like things are changing, but you know, I'm very interested in somewhat of a cinema verite approach. I think a lot of Hurdle and my storytelling is very visual. Like, I don't always want to tell you the narrative out front. I want the audience to kind of experience the characters' lives and sit and observe with them and just feel like you're a part of what's happening on screen. And so oftentimes that leads to scenes where, you know, it might not have like an action-packed thing, but it really needs to build up a foundation of what is the environment, who are the characters, and letting the camera roll rather than constantly cutting and creating a narrative after the fact. I really want audiences to sit and just kind of feel like by the end of the film that they know these characters on a personal level.
Yeah.
They've been led into like their personal space, and it feels like that they've been on this journey with them rather than that they're listening to a narrative that's been created by a filmmaker. Like, I want all of us to experience their life together.
And you can really see that style from the opening shots in the film with him standing by the wall and them all caged up like animals trying to get back and forth. And yeah, I felt that was so cool.
Oh, thank you so
watching
much.
that, yeah. And it really speaks to another level of filmmaking, you know, trying to get the best visual storytelling necessarily.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, there were some moments, you know, what I found is if I let the camera roll and just keep it going, you know, that opening shot that you mentioned at the wall, we had stood and done an interview, and he had talked a little bit at the wall, but then he just kind of started wandering off frame, like further and further away. And then luckily, like, my microphone had enough reach that I could pick him up whenever he made this comment about maybe one day I'll be able to overcome this obstacle. And what I found is the beautiful moments kind of happen in that in-between, whenever the camera is still rolling and people, maybe they've told you what they want the camera to hear at first, but then right after that, all the facades come down and you see a beautiful picture of who they are as just people. So I was excited. There are quite a few moments like that throughout the film where the characters might be saying something, but it leads into something else that becomes pretty profound.
Yeah, and it was almost as if it was crafting like this beautiful story within the film itself. It felt like, you know, almost like a narrative. You know, like it was so powerful by the end of the movie.
Thank you. That's amazing. Yeah, that was one thing that I set out to do from a directing and editing standpoint. I wanted it to feel like you're watching a narrative film, like not constructing things and creating scenes or directing people to do things, but I wanted you to be on a journey, not just a documentary where you're told a set of facts and people are interviewed and then you see some B-roll or archive footage. I wanted it to feel like you're experiencing the year with these young men.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you could really feel the contrast between the tensions and then the beauty and the simplicity that the Palestinians live. It's as if they were, you know, like you're showing us how if there wasn't these walls, it would just be a simple existence for these people.
Yeah, absolutely. They're one of the most resilient and beautiful people that I have got to experience. They're a very hospitable culture. It's all about like welcoming the stranger. I can't tell you how many times people would buy me food or bring me so much food I couldn't, you know, I couldn't even manage to eat it all. It's very much like welcome people into your home, and it's a beautiful culture filled with, you know, rich in culture and just arts and history, and I think that's something that oftentimes is missing from the narrative.
For sure.
So I'm happy that Hurdle kind of brings that to the surface in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like Hurdle really did what what documentaries strive to do, and that it captured how a group of people lives, and, you know, like their struggle and their goal to overcome those obstacles.
Well, thank you for saying that. Yeah, that was the goal all along. Obviously, I'm an outsider. I'm not Palestinian, and I come from a totally different place. So going over there, it was really important for us to like establish and build a relationship with them and make sure that they felt like we were sharing their story accurately. They didn't have say in like the editing room or things like that, but we had built up enough relationship and trust with one another that they felt comfortable with us being a part of sharing part of their story, and at the end of it, they're excited. I've gotten messages from them today, actually. They're all asking how screenings are going and how people are responding, so everyone's excited.
Very cool. So, Michael,
yeah,
what projects are you currently working on or have for the future?
Sure. So now we're making sure to put all of our efforts in getting Hurdle out into the world. We had our world premiere, and so it's really important for us we put so much investment and time into this and energy, and we believe in the film that we're excited to take it further on the festival circuit, hopefully find distribution partners, and also do community screenings all over the world.
Oh,
and all of those are in the works, so it's very exciting in that regard. But other than that, obviously I'm still doing all of my freelance work and paying the bills with that, and starting to work on the next film, thinking about the next film, talking with different people about some story ideas and stuff like that. I'm not going to give too much to you, but yeah, I'm definitely excited to investigate a new story and share one and take things that I've learned from Hurdle and apply it to the next film.
Oh, for sure. So what is it like being a Dallas filmmaker, and how has the Dallas film community helped you as a filmmaker?
Man, it's been amazing. Dallas community and film community has been super supportive. Like, a lot of Dallas people worked on this film or had some sort of part in making it a reality or just offering their wisdom or insight. And so it's just been so great that we got to world premiere at the Dallas International Film Festival, from which the film was born in this community. So all of us got to share in it together. And I've said it before, but the Dallas film community is just very generous. Like, we might be a smaller community than the coastal cities, but that creates a more tight-knit group of people that are willing to, we're all working on each other's projects, and from that we become champions of each other and supportive of each other, and so it's been great.
That must be so nice to have that little tight-knit group who you can rely on, and that's something that for sure you couldn't find as easily in LA or New York.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's something to be said about not if you go to a place that's so saturated with filmmakers, you might have different opportunities than you would in other places, but it's also much more difficult to get your voice heard in a place where everyone wants their voice heard. And so luckily enough, like, Dallas is big enough that it can support filmmakers, but it's not so full of filmmakers that everyone you meet at the coffee shop is working on their next film. So in that way, it's helpful.
Very cool. So how did you get your film to the Dallas International Film Festival, and how would one work to have a premiere at a film festival?
Yeah, you just, once you finish the film or close to finishing, it doesn't have to be completely done. It's just important to get on their websites called Film Freeway and Without a Box, and that's a place where you can upload your film and all the information about it. And all of these film festivals all over the world post, you can submit now to our festival. And so it's just important to be on the lookout for festivals that would make sense for your film. It costs a lot of money. I mean, application fees really start to add up, so be strategic about what festivals you apply to. But it's really as simple as, like, these awesome web services. You write a nice cover letter talking about, like, your interest in the festival and, like, what you know about the festival, and also how your film fits within it.
Very awesome. So one last question for you, Michael. What was the ultimate message that you aimed to portray with Hurdle?
Oh man, there's a lot of messages, but I would just say that I would hope audiences walk away, like, thinking about some of the things that the characters talk about in that practicing freedom. Rather than freedom just being something that you have or don't have, it's something that you can practice and you should practice, and how profound small acts of creativity can be in the face of some of the most harrowing odds. But I would say one of the main takeaways, and I hope people walk away with, is at the end of the film they'll have a narrative about two young Palestinians who I hope they feel a personal connection with and feel like that they could be friends with, that they know them, they understand them a little bit better, and then they apply that knowledge to their politics and how they view Palestinians in general, and hopefully we can all work to find a more equitable and just society for everyone. And you know, there's a lot of lessons to also learn from Hurdle and apply to our own life and our own society. How do we view the other, and how do sometimes we decide whole people groups are a certain way, and why should we not do that? Look to find personal connections with anyone and everyone, learn about their story, be inspired by them, and hopefully we can move forward.
Such an empowering story, Michael. Thank you for coming out.
Yeah.
Your film was excellent. Loved every second of it.
Thank you.
Felt like it gave such a great gift to humanity and
thank you.
overcoming our own obstacles and everything like that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you
Thanks
for coming
having me
out.
on.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's great.